This is going to sound cliche, but I think it's true and it works. If you don't know where to start, just start doing something. Maybe there are a million and one things you want to do. Let's say you want to do a business and you also want to sell glasses, but at the same time, you want to be a coach. There are all of these things, but a journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. So just start somewhere. You can take up and say, okay, I will start coaching. How do you do it? You go and research. How can I start coaching? The amazing thing now is that information is at the tip of your finger. It's easily accessible. It's not like 30 years ago where we didn't have the internet. Okay. So just keep research and start something. Don't let, one thing I'm going to say is, don't let analysis paralysis get to you. This is something we see in real estate. It was also something that almost happened to me, and I had to say, no, let me do it because it's so easy to theorize. It's so easy to say, I'm going to start a real estate business. I'm going to do Section 8, and do room and do door to door, or maybe you're going to commercial. But then as you're starting, you're realizing, you know what? I actually don't like real estate. It happened to a close friend of mine. True story. She actually started, she's like, you know what? Nah, I'm not doing this. I said, okay. If you're listening to this right now and, you're wondering what to do, you're trying to figure it out, just start something. Because when you're building a business, it's like a dark staircase, right? When you step on the first stairs, the light shines, right? You don't see what's coming next until you keep doing. Because when you start something, I can promise you that clarity would come as a result. So you have to start doing something. Just start. Maybe you can start networking as you meet more people and you listen to them talk about their business. You realize, oh, there are even more businesses than I thought I knew about. So the more you start, the more you do something, the more clarity you get.
Okay, so take action, take imperfect action, and
Yeah.
especially for high achieving, ambitious people. I'm a recovered. Okay. Well, my friend to say I'm still recovering perfectionist because you always want to do it right.
Yeah.
Um, Forget that. Okay, throw that out of the window.
Yes.
Because what that would do is you talked about somebody that wanted to start YouTube, 9 years ago. You
She
can never
still
be that
hasn't
perfect
started.
YouTuber.
She still hasn't started. She still hasn't started.
Because you're looking at YouTube and you're seeing this perfect YouTube and you're like, okay, I want to be that good before I can start. No, some of those people, that is a guy I met, he's actually very good at YouTube right now. He started doing YouTube maybe 16 years ago. He's like,
Yes.
what he likes about YouTube is like, can I go back to your old videos and change them?
And see.
So it was like, what he had 6 years ago was horrible, but it's fine because it got him to where he is today. And to your
Mhm.
point, action brings clarity. So you step on that, the stairs are light, the steps light up. You step on one,
Mhm.
it lights up, you see the next one. Another way I like to say it is you never know what's behind the door until you open it and you see what your next step is. Marcy, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
being here, for sharing, for having all this wisdom and being generous with it. I'm hoping that everybody listening got so much from this. And I want to ask you, so what are you working on right now? And how can people find you and either connect with you or collaborate with you?
Right now, I am in Founders Institute. I applied and got in. I am building out massive brands. There is the part where we teach these women digital skills, and then when they are very good, we help them and pair them. Well, those that are good and did their work and all of that. So we're building that out. Something Founders Institute has helped me with is not just having what I'm building in my head. We have gotten an LMS, which I don't think we would have if I didn't do it. It's just forcing me to actually take action as opposed to saying, I want to, I want to. So that's what I'm working on right now. We're also expanding Bell Sisters. So we are having more women join the community. It's a community for female founders of color. You meet amazing women in there who are ready to help you and whatever questions you have, they are ready to answer and help with whatever they can. Those are the two main things that I'm working on right now. There's something in the works for tribes and history, but I can't really say it right now. Maybe in a future podcast. So if you want to find me, the two main places I'm in is Instagram and LinkedIn. There's the two main places you see me. So if you search on LinkedIn, Nmasichi Chukwuemeka, Chine is my middle name. You'd see, but the thing is, people know both of them. So I answer, you know, like Chimamanda is like Chimamanda Ngozi. Me, I also answer both of them. So Masichi Chineye. But yeah, so if you search Masichi Chukwuemeka, you would see me on LinkedIn, and if you search Masichi, you would see me on Instagram. If you search Massive Brands, you would also see us. You wouldn't reach me directly, but the ones I gave earlier, those are where you can get me directly. If you research Bell Sisters, you also find us. That wouldn't be me directly, but that's how you can find me.
It's so funny you brought up Chimamanda Ngozi because we all grew up in UNN and I knew her as Ngozi. So
Yes,
I keep saying Ngozi, everybody says Chimamanda, so I had to do the switch. Your name is your name and it doesn't matter. You answer to whichever one.
I
Thank you
love
so much.
her. She was
Yeah.
talking about how people, because I think I've watched all of her interviews. I'm not a fan girl for like celebrity gossip or things. I don't care about it. But Chimamanda is the only one that whatever if there's any news about her, trust me, I have seen it. And what you said you all grew up in UN and she also talked about it how Ngozi is what people that grew up with her know her as. So and then Chimamanda came because she was actually Amanda. She liked the way it sounded when she got to the US. They'll call her Amanda. And she's like, what is that? And then she was kind of trying to figure it out because I think that was when her first book was getting published. This is how she'll be presented to the world, right? So all of a sudden she added chi in front of it. And the amazing thing is he also has an Igbo meaning. So I guess it all worked out for her.
Yeah, and there's so many lovely girls that have nieces who were
Yeah,
named Chimamanda. That's after her.
Chimamanda after
And
her, yeah.
after her, and another name that happened is Jidenna. Remember Jidenna?
The singer.
After he came out, a lot of I have nephews that are Jidenna, and that's from him. So all these are really incredible because we have people like us that we're proud to name our kids after, and they have that tradition
Mhm.
going forward. So
Yeah.
everyone listening, make sure you tag Masichi and me and share what you've learned from this episode. What was most helpful to you, and let us know what you appreciated. So go ahead and follow Marcy on LinkedIn and Instagram, like she said. We're going to put all that information in the show notes. Follow me as well, Adaeze Iloeje-Udeogalanya. Please tell us what you learned and ask us whatever questions you have because we want to be able to make this interactive beyond this podcast. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you, Marcy, for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you all for listening. Make sure you follow and don't miss any of the episodes when they drop. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.
Hi, everyone.
Welcome to Lunch with Leaders, the podcast where we explore what it takes to lead, thrive, and create lasting impact. I'm Adaeze Iloeje-Udeogalanya, a TEDx speaker, leadership strategist, and the founder of African Women in STEM. Each episode features insightful conversations with innovators, trailblazers, and leaders from around the world who are transforming cultures, redefining leadership, and shaping the future of work. Together, we'll share the stories, strategies, and mindsets that will empower women in STEM to amplify their visibility, influence, and impact. If you're ready to lead boldly, amplify your voice, and help influence what leadership looks like for women in STEM, hit follow, share this podcast, and join us every week for impactful conversations, powerful stories, and practical strategies.
Our best time. Oh my God. So I have been looking forward to this conversation with her. Just so you know how incredible she is, right? So, Nmasichi Chukwuemeka is an award-winning entrepreneur, a storyteller, a community builder. She's a founder of Bertramson Inc. an ecosystem that houses massive brands, Tribes in History, and Bell Sisters. So Massive Brands is the organization through which she helps female founders to not just build compelling identity, she helps them with affordable but trained virtual assistants through a pairing program. She also has Tribes in History, which is where she celebrates Africa's heritage and trailblazing Africans. Bell Sisters supports female founders of color with a safe, empowering space. Nmasichi is also the director of web and digital platforms at the African Immigrant Collective. I'm also a part of that. And she has earned several awards, among which are the Rising Star Award, BPM Global 100 recognition, and she's had speaking engagement in multiple organizations, and she has been featured on Times Square and Top Podcast. First of all, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm excited.
Thank you, Adam. I'm also very excited. Thanks for having me.
I know I've been looking forward to this. So we have a lot to talk about, so you guys are in for a treat. So let's just dive in. Let's start with the Times Square. You've been featured on Times Square. That's incredible. You have your work recognized globally with all the awards that you've won. But you don't just get featured on Times Square, get recognized by chance. How did you achieve all this? Did you ever struggle with putting yourself out there, or did it come naturally to you?
Putting myself out there did not come naturally. Those that know me know that I'm quite reserved. I keep to myself a lot. Actually, how I started putting myself out there was through my businesses. I realized very quickly that I could not be an island. I realized that I could not just feel that my skills would speak for me. I started learning that I also had to advocate for myself. I could have the best skills, but if no one knows about that, I'm just a hidden diamond. I started attending events. I started networking. It was excruciating. I think back to a year and a half ago when I first started networking, and I shudder to think that I actually made it through. Because I did make it through. But yes, I shudder to think of all of everything that happened during that time, because I remember I was quite scared. Another thing that helped me was I'm a reader, so I'm like a sponge. I absorb everything. I was reading books then. I was reading this book, The Defining Decade, or Why They Matter. I swear that book will make you think you're not doing anything with your life. So I read that book. I realized, okay, this is the time I have to build. It doesn't matter how I feel. I read the other book, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. And I was like, okay, it doesn't matter. I just have to do it. So that was when I started putting myself out there. I started networking. I started having coffee chats and getting on podcasts. I also started posting on LinkedIn because before that, I hadn't posted on LinkedIn in about 4 to 5 years. That just wasn't me, but I had to start learning to put myself out there. So the short answer to your question is no, it did not come naturally. It was something I had to make myself do. It wasn't something I was very comfortable with, but I knew I just had to do it. And I don't regret it because I've met amazing people like you. So, yeah.
I love that. When you said you post on LinkedIn for 4 to 5 years, I was like, you know how LinkedIn is sending you those things to celebrate how far you've come? I joined LinkedIn in 2009. I think I probably went to LinkedIn once every 3 years to look for a job. I probably posted on LinkedIn for the first time. I don't even know, maybe 2021 that I remember. So it's kind of interesting because I'm the founder of African Women in STEM and the women in my community and other women in STEM that I work with. I go through that where they feel like I don't have to post anything because it's not my style. I don't have to be out there. Everybody knows. I was like, maybe not. Because in reality, sometimes you feel safe where we are, but the world doesn't begin and end with whatever company you're working with. There's life after your corporate career, for example. What I didn't know to do was to plant those seeds by building those relationships. LinkedIn makes it so easy. If you're listening to this, Mercy didn't get there by magic, miracle, or just she was born that way. She had to go through the pains of just showing up every day and freaking out and hating it. And the good thing about that is that when you try and test things and figure out what you like. And I feel that now you're leaning into the things that you like.
Yes, yes. Oh my God. Because this is the thing. I'm also a writer. I love writing. I've been writing probably since I was 5. Reading and writing, those are my safe spaces. So I'm also a writer. I had a blog, right? It actually did quite well. I was always writing about my life, oh, I did this today. Oh, I did that today. So I kind of thought that's the way LinkedIn was. I was, making all those long, long, long posts and with time, I started realizing, okay, each platform has its own style. You won't go to Instagram to read. If you want to read, you go to Medium. I started realizing this is how LinkedIn is. Another thing is the people I follow. I had to follow the people that had the same mindset. I had to follow people I could learn from. I really wanted to learn. I'm like a sponge. I try to absorb and absorb. I also took a 1-month class on branding yourself on LinkedIn, showing up. After I took that class, I started showing up more frequently and consistently on LinkedIn. My LinkedIn was growing. Unfortunately, I haven't focused on it as much as I am supposed to. But all of these to say that, yes, I did not just get there by magic. I had to go through those pains. I had to learn. And then I also have started slowly leaning into what I like. Now I kind of know, okay, I like to talk about entrepreneurship. I like everything that has to do with finance and lifestyle. So I mix those 3 up. And that's what I post on LinkedIn, even though I haven't been as consistent as I should.
I'm glad you brought that up. There's someone I follow on LinkedIn that talked about the 2 ways you can show up on LinkedIn. Either you post, you have a niche, let's say you post on customer experience, for example, or you are the brand.
Yeah.
Exactly. You like finance, entrepreneurship, and lifestyle. At least 3 things. When you show up, you talk about this. When you post about any of those 3 things, it's perfectly fine. So what I'm hoping I'm getting from this is to find out, first of all, take actions, the actions, and in the process, figure out what feels more aligned and natural. And most importantly, like Mercy said, follow the right. I've learned so much from influencers on LinkedIn. I've done challenges, taken courses. Everybody has their own style. My style is going to be a mesh of like 10 different things plus the person that I am. Everybody has something to offer. You don't necessarily take everything, but just know that you can always learn.
Yes.
It's never too late to learn.
It's not
And then you can take that learning and make it your own.
I think there's something my friend said, always be learning. It doesn't matter if you're 80, it doesn't matter if you're 45, always be learning. I want listeners to take away, always learn, always read, always look for people that know more than you and learn. Yes, just keep learning.
Well, if you're not learning, you're dying slowly. That's extreme, okay? It's close. It's close. But thank you for sharing that. You graduated from school and worked for about 1.5 years. And then decided that this isn't for me. I'm going to go start a business. How did you decide to do that? How did you make that leap into entrepreneurship? How did you find the courage and the mindset to be like, yes, I'm going to do this? We don't come from a culture where you get out of school and you said, I'm not working for anybody, everybody's going to applaud you. Can you tell us what was going on in your mind when you made that decision and why?
I want to say it started from childhood because it wasn't just something that started in my 20s. So I'm going to give you a background of that and then, of course, how I just jumped in. Ever since I was a child, my dad was a businessman. So ever since I was a child, somehow at the back of my mind, I was always doing something that involved entrepreneurship. Now, of course, then I didn't know it was entrepreneurship. I just knew I wanted to make my own money. When I was 8, I used to create cards because my brother is an architect from him. So I'll create cards, I will design it very nice looking, at least for a child. And I'll go sell it to the kids in school. And I remember then my biggest brother, my oldest brother, he would be like, kids are buying this from me? And I say, yeah. I mean, I'll make the card and I'll sell it to them. So that was one of the first things I did. When I was around 10, the stuff I was selling to the kids were things like birthday cards and things like that. But when I was 10, I and my sister, we started selling recharge cards. So as at then, I was still in Nigeria. Recharge cards like calling cards. I remember it very well because it was MTN. MTN that could be like that's like think AT&T.
Yeah.
Well, we would buy it for 950 naira. We'll buy the bulk for 950 naira. And then instead of us selling it 100 naira each, we'll sell it 110 naira. So we would then get 1,100 from selling it because we're selling it 10 naira. And then because we bought it 950, there was also that 50 naira. I remember me and my sister were doing that. They can't let me. Because think about this, we're just doing it from the house. We got a poster that said, get your recharge cards here. We put it on our gate. Think about this. We live in a state and you wouldn't want to start walking at night at 8 p.m. to buy cards. So people would come to us because it was convenient. We're kids selling cards. When I was around 14, I and my friend, we opened a chin chin business. I think that was one of my first real, okay, I am actually doing a business type of thing. Me and my friend, we started doing chin chin, and then we were going to supermarkets and asking if we could supply the chin chin to them. Ever since I was young, I've always had that entrepreneurial mindset. It's always been something that was in me. But then, of course, went to college, and then, in college, I studied computer science, and I liked the projects and everything. But as I graduated, I remember, okay, before I even graduated, when I was doing my internships, I loved the internship. I loved what I was doing. But I remember I would have to wake up at 5 in the morning. I'll take a shower. I'll rush to work. You work all day, 8 to 9 hours on the computer. Come back and repeat it the next day. I did that every day for 5 days. And then by Saturday, I would be so exhausted that I wouldn't even want to do anything. I would just want to lay down. This was during my internship in 2018. I remember talking to my friend. I said, is this what adults do? I remember so clearly. You know how when you have that eureka moment, when it's like, I know, maybe I might not know what I like, but I certainly know what I don't want. They said, I don't want this. That was the first real instance for me of how the whole adulthood, the whole 9 to 5 thing actually works. So I started thinking to myself, we have to figure this out. I don't know how, but I cannot do this. I did another internship. It was also okay. Then I went into corporate, and my first year was so horrible. As I was going through that, I kept thinking, we can't keep doing this. The good thing was that during 2020, I had a blog. So I was also doing writing on the side. So I had all these side gigs because I can remember your girl always will be making money somehow. And then as I was in my full-time job, I just started making plans. I said, okay, when are we leaving? How much do we have to have saved? How much do we have to be making? I wrote down all these things. I said, okay, on this day, this is when we're leaving. This is how much we have to have in the bank. This is how much we have to be making. I started clearing all the debts I had. The good thing is I went to school on scholarship, so I didn't have student loans, which I am so grateful for because I know that gave me a step up. I had laser loan and I also had my car loan, so I started paying off. I was like, I'm not doing this. That was how I planned. Even though I would say I'll quit on this day, that wouldn't happen. I was also scared because I was in tech. Tech was good money. And that's what people call golden handcuffs. Because the money is good, you just keep being there and you're in this race of always surviving, never being able to come up. Then I made all those plans and I said, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead. So I actually went on and I did it. And it's been a roller coaster. It's been a roller coaster. It's been fun. It's been hard. It's been interesting. I was talking to a friend yesterday, telling her all the things that had happened in the year and a half. One thing that I would not give up is how much I've learned. Between when I quit last year and now, I have learned so much. I have put myself out there. I have people that are working for me. I'm a natural manager and I am doing all the things that I thought I would never be able to do. When you start a business, people usually think you can wake up whenever you want. At least it doesn't work in my case. I had to give myself structure. We wake up at 5, we pray, we read, we go to the gym, then we come back, do a little writing, and jump into our stand-up meeting. After stand-up, we have meetings and then client worked. I had to give myself structure because if you don't, you can spend the whole day not achieving anything. And the thing with businesses is not like 9 to 5 where, maybe if you don't do anything, the money will still come in. If you don't do anything in your business, you're not making any money. So I had to be really disciplined because it wasn't just myself I was catering for. I also had people working for me that were dependent on me. Entrepreneurship, I think it's kind of always been embedded in me. It's something I've always known at the back of my head ever since I was a kid that I was going to do. I kind of always knew somehow. It was just there always at the back of my mind. And I had to go ahead and do it. I'm not going to sit on the gifts that God blessed me with.
Well, thank you for sharing that because this is really good because a lot of people, there's so many things you touched on. One thing that definitely holds people back is the golden handcuffs. There's the fear. And then the other thing you talked about is when you leave your corporate work and you start your own business, one of the things that actually kills people is not having structure. In corporate, even if you work there for 10, 15 years, you think you're doing all the things you're doing because you're grown. No, you're doing all the things you're doing because there's structure out there. You start work at 8, you end at whatever. There's a holiday, there's a vacation, there's this and that. There are projects, there are deadlines. So somebody has established that structure for you. When you start working for yourself, all of a sudden you're like, okay, I'm going to have all the time in the world, especially if you've been doing it on the side while you were still working. That, okay, now that I'm here, I can have all the time to actually focus on this. To your point, what actually happens is that you get through a whole week and you haven't achieved anything because nobody's setting those schedules for you, nobody's setting those deadlines for you. And then you quickly realize that if you don't fish, you're not going to eat. So I was talking to somebody yesterday and I was like, I want to take time off between Christmas and New Year to just really chill and relax. And we're talking about holidays, like all these holidays, they actually don't mean anything to me. I just know they're holidays because my kid. It's very different. I work with corporate 20 years. If there's a holiday, if I'm off, I'm off. Especially the last couple of years of my career where I made a conscious decision off so I can focus on my family. If I come back home on Friday, that's it. I can focus on everything else I need to do. Now, I really had to discipline myself. My Sunday is sacred. Next year, I'm going to add Saturday. And I want to be able to do a bunch of things with my kids. You have to do that for yourself. Yeah. Everything you said is very key and important, and it's going to help a lot of people that are listening. Thank you for sharing. All right, let's talk about how are you managing 3 businesses? Thinking about the fact that you just started all of this full-time last year, how are you doing it? How do you trust yourself to not just start one, but start a second one and a third? And as you were talking about, right now you have a staff, you're managing people. I think about, because I'm part of Bell Sisters, the people in Bell Sisters that are definitely more experienced than you, older, have had businesses for longer, the way you lead is such that nobody is ever questioning you. Can you please share how you're able to do all this lead with confidence and get people to do things in spite of the fact that some of them may have more experience than you, maybe older than you, maybe in business longer, and so on?
I feel like that's a horrible red question. First, I'm going to speak on confidence because people say, be confident, but you can't just be confident. One of the things I learned is that confidence comes from preparation. Let me give you an example. So think of it you are going to do a pitch presentation. You're the Founders Institute. Think that you have an investor progress pitch coming up tomorrow and you haven't practiced. You just created your slides and that was it. I can bet you that if you go tomorrow to give that pitch, you're not going to be confident because you haven't practiced to know if you're going to be below 5 minutes or above 5 minutes. You haven't even learned what you're going to talk about. What you have is your slides. Now, of course, we know that questions come after pitch. So after you're done pitching, you haven't gone and practiced the questions. So I can bet you that when you go tomorrow to pitch, you wouldn't be confident. You might not even want to go, or you might just be like, let me see if I can hide until nobody calls me. One thing I've learned is always be prepared. And that's one thing that my employees, they will always tell. They'll tell you, yeah, Miss Masichi, if we're doing a meeting, she has prepared already beforehand for that meeting. If we're meeting with a client, she's prepared beforehand because I don't want to come someplace and I can't speak or articulate myself because I wasn't prepared. And that preparation brings forth confidence. So that's one thing I'm going to say about confidence. Always be prepared. Then, now going over to running 3 businesses. Again, I had a meeting with someone yesterday and she literally was asking me the same thing. You're on time, you're this, you're that. Why are you able to do it? This is the story of how my businesses started. And this doesn't mean that I know everything because I genuinely don't. So when I first started offering different services, right, I was doing websites, I was just sort of writing. It was interesting because I registered in May last year, but full operations began in August last year. I was attending meetings, like 7 meetings a day. And after that, I would still have to do the client stuff. And I remember I was so burnt out after like 3 months because you're not just doing client work, you're also developing your business. And I remember being burnt out. So I said, I have to find someone to help me. It doesn't matter. I have to find someone. So I got my first hire. I was also doing tribes and history on the side. Actually, tribes and history kind of started before Massive Brands. I was more so just doing it on Instagram, posting here and there because I've always loved telling African stories. What propelled me to get into that was that when I was around 10, I would be reading all these comics. I would read about Archie, Jughead, but I wouldn't see a representation of myself. What brought tribes and history to life. I started it around 2021, just posting on Instagram. When I was doing Massive Brands last year, I also had tribes and history. And I volunteered helping me source for stories and posting it. She was doing all of this and the whole thing with Massive Brands was going and I told myself I needed someone. I got my first hire. The thing I did, which I tell everyone if you have a startup or if you have a business that you're starting and funds are limited, don't go and make specific hires of saying, I'm going to hire a social media manager or I'm going to hire a blog writer. Get someone that, like a jack of all trade, right? So that was the very good thing that I did. So my first hire, even though he was a writer, he also knew how to do a lot of things. So I'll tell him, okay, do this. He will do this for Massive Brands. He will do that. He will do this. He will do that. And then as I got him, the person for tribes and history, I brought her in full time, no longer as a volunteer. So she was then handling other parts of the business, things like social media, all these busy work here and there that as a leader, as a founder, you're not supposed to be doing. I heard her doing those ones. Now, as we're going, we're doing tribes in history. I'm applying to accelerators. I'm doing all those things. I started getting lonely. I mean, you're the one I call. I'll be getting lonely and I'm like, I need women to talk to. I don't know what it is about business, but I need to talk to people. I think if you remember our conversations last year around July, I was saying that I think I'm gonna bring women together. I want to cry. Really? Well, that's literally it. So earlier this year, around the ending of March, beginning of April, I just got a couple of women together, and that was how Bell Sisters started. I didn't actually start out wanting it to be a business. It was just genuinely something that, okay, this is a circle of women who are doing business. Let's talk about how this client doesn't want to pay you. Let's talk about how we can also help each other grow. Let's also talk about just being women, because you're in Bell Sisters, you've seen the conversations that we have. Yes, we talk about business, but we also just talk about being a woman in business, because I think it's very different. So we started Bell Sisters April of this year, and somehow people kept joining. I remember at a point I got scared. I was telling my sister, "What have I done? All these women are looking at me." And I started researching kind of how, okay, building a community and all of that. Like I said, I didn't even start it as a business. I also started meeting other people that had communities. I remember you and I were talking, and we started seeing the value in Bell Sisters and how people were making connections and giving each other businesses. That was 2 weeks ago, where 3 bells were awarded. They were given honorary doctorates. And these women, some flew in from United Kingdom, a whole different continent, and some from up north just to Atlanta. We started seeing all of that, and we're like, oh my God, this is actually amazing. My ability to run all three, I think it stems from having people that can do multiple things. The people that work for me, shout out to them, Sam, Shala, you guys are amazing. The people that work for me have that same passion that I have. It's not just, oh, I'm here to collect a paycheck. I remember one of them, Sam, said, "Man, wherever you go, I'll follow you." God has just blessed me with people that saw the same vision. Of course, I'm not calling at 3 a.m., but if I were to call at 3 a.m., I'm pretty sure he would pick up. So I think just having that support from those that work for you, that's the first thing. I think the second thing is also family, right? My mom reads all of my newsletters. I think I might have told you this before. And she also responds, right? There are some she'll be like, "Oh, we should have talked about God more here." And then in others, she'll be like, "Oh, I really love this." And then some she'll be like, "Do you think you should have said this to the public?" And I'm like, "Don't worry, Mom. This is me building my personal brand." Seeing that support strengthens and empowers me. I think another thing is those you surround yourself with. I had to learn that I can't be an island. So the people I surrounded myself with, again, I'm giving you your flowers because you have been so amazing at that. You tell me, "Oh, I'll tell you at that. I need help. I cannot figure this out. We have to talk about it." And then we'll stay on the call 2 hours doing strategy and roadmap. You might think it doesn't help. You might think, "Oh, we just talked for 2 hours," but those things actually help. They actually strengthen me. So how am I able to do all of these? I think one, with structure, I had to be really disciplined. Oh God, Adam, I had to be really, really disciplined. I don't know what we're going to do, because I'm certainly not going back to 9 to 5. I mean, I am certainly not. So it has to work. And when you have that burning desire within you, it makes you're looking for opportunities. I mean, I'm always trying to find accelerator programs. I'm always trying to figure out how best can I move this business forward. And again, of course, it's not a straightforward line. It's not a bed of roses. It's not easy. I have bumped into so many roadblocks. However, the thing is to just keep going. Something I've learned and helps me, you will fail, but how fast do you get up, right? There was incident that happened with Bell Sisters, right? There was an incident that even happened with one of the coaches I had for tribes and history. Things will always happen, but how fast do you get up and keep going? Okay, stuff happened. Cool. Let's cry about, let's ask God why. Let's maybe, I don't know, pity ourselves for one or two days and, sulk. And then after that, you get up and keep moving. Because when you actually fail is when you allow that failure to weigh you down and you're not able to get up. So the summary of all this and the answer to your question, how you're able to run this and how you're able to lead all those women that are, more experienced, much older than you in Bell Sisters, I think it's structure. I think it's discipline. I think it's the community, those who you surround yourself with. I think it's family, right? I think it's also having employees that are helpful. If I was stressed about my employees, it would probably point to other things that I'm doing. And also, I am very intentional about my relationship with God. I have learned that all the achievements I have, she got this, she has done this, it's all from Him. So I'm going to say in a nutshell, that's the answer to a question.
Well, first of all, there are just so many gems. I don't even know where to start, but I'm glad you brought up the whole structure again. And then when you talked about the fact that when you realized you were burning out, you just decided to hire. To have this coach, especially as women, good that you learned that early. I learned that late. I can do it. Okay, if it needs to get done and nobody else is doing it, it's just one of those things that we just take on a lot of things. I mean, I took on so many things for so many years until I burnt out completely. Just realizing that you need to hire somebody, even if you don't have money, instead of looking for a specialist, which may cost you more, because if you get a specialist for one thing, you still have a million of one things minus one. Okay, a million things because you just took care of one thing. So the only thing helps you, first of all, it helps you cost-wise, it helps you to offload all the busy work that are necessary, but you don't need to be the one doing it. And then having that structure for yourself, being prepared. Right now, I'm actually going through my AI consultancy certification, and it's so exciting. So this lady said something about, that because she had a client that was in tax, a tax professor, that they had a tax agency and had other franchises and stuff like that. As well as anything about it, and she said no, but I know AI and I know how to ask AI to help me help this person. So it goes back to do your research because you sit down with them, ask the questions, find out the pinpoints what they're looking to achieve, and take that back, go do your work, go do your research, actually do a demo of whatever you're going to show them before you show up. You don't have to have all the answers, but preparation and research beats everything. And not research for the sake of research. We love research, right? Oh, even smart people can research to the ends of the earth. So it's just necessary research. Your research has to have an end. It's not research for research. I want to find out how I can do this one thing. Next time when you have time, go down the rabbit hole, but just pick that and go. So you don't have to have all the answers. Entrepreneurship, you don't have to have all the answers, and it's perfectly fine. You don't need to know what you're doing. If you have a plan, a vision, and a structure, you trust yourself enough to do the thing. So I'm hoping everybody's picking it up. If you have questions after this is why we're having these conversations with incredible leaders that talk and who are really finding what it means to show up as leaders. Because normally you would think, you just started or you just have 1 year in, but that doesn't mean you cannot lead. I'm very great at it. So thank you for sharing that.
I didn't add, when you talked about being a leader and being great at it, I think there are some people that are naturally inclined to lead. I don't really think that's me per se, but one thing I learned as I did business was, okay, I'm actually good managing people, right? And I'm also very good at operations. So I leaned into those heavily. I know it might sound funny, but I also took a lot of leadership classes. I started taking leadership classes. I would watch some on YouTube. I would take some from Udemy, take some from Coursera, because again, I knew that, okay, I had to figure out if something happens, what is the best way to approach it? The question you asked about Bell Sisters, you're not the only one that asked me that. After we put out the pictures of women receiving their honorary, I got a lot of people that were like, your community has even women in their 40s or 50s. And I said, yeah, but we also have women in 20s. And they were like, yes, but look at all these women that have done this and this. How did you bring them together? I said, I don't know. But yes, because a lot of people have asked me that. So I think it also has to do with intentionality, the way you present yourself, the things you do, why do you do them. There's a lot to unbox. I could talk about this for a long time, but I'm going to stop here.
I'm glad you brought this up, but I always say leadership is not necessarily the title. Self-leadership is fundamental. Self-leadership is the reason why you were able to sit down and reflect. You are self-aware. You know that you're good at managing. You know that you're good at operation. And you did lean into that. You also know that you need to learn more about certain things. So you started taking leadership courses. But it takes a leader or someone that is fully self-aware to take those actions. You could have said, oh, I only work for 1 year and a half. I've never led a team, so I don't know what to do. So I think self-leadership is very fundamental. Some people are that have that are natural born leaders, if you want to use that word, which means that if they ever step up, it feels very comfortable for them. But anything like that, the only difference is that you have to figure out, where do I fall in this spectrum? And then show up like that. Leadership doesn't have to look a certain way. It just means that you're fully self-aware. You can lead yourself first. Then you can translate that to what other people can understand and follow. And that's it, in your own style. Thank you so much for sharing that, because that is so key and so very important. You're talking about people asking you how you have a community with women that are so accomplished. Normally you think, what would it have to do with you? But again, it's just who you are and how you present. And then you create a space for them to come and be themselves and do what they want to do. Everybody craves community, and everybody craves a community that is aligned, which is why you have created. If you find the thing that you're looking for, you settle in there and you're the one that created it. So that's why they're there. You didn't beat anybody over the top head to join you. You showed up as yourself and attract people that are like you, like what you like, or want the same things that you want. So it just makes it so much easier. Let's talk about this, because it's very important. People will be looking at you and thinking, oh, what is able to do this, person's able to do that. I remember, I think it was earlier this year, you told me a story of a friend of yours that wanted to be you. It's like, oh my God, I want to be you. You're traveling, you're doing all the things. And then we sat her down and explained to her what entrepreneurship really is like. And she's like, no, I don't want that. So what do you want people to understand? She may not have given herself the opportunity to explore, to know if this is what she can really do. So what do people need to understand about growing something that is not comfortable or straightforward, especially in entrepreneurship or leadership?
The first thing is to be willing to do it, to be willing to even look stupid. There's this guy I follow on LinkedIn. I believe he's Italian. I'm going to butcher it, but it's Giuseppe. He might see this podcast and he's like, oh my gosh, she mentioned me. He's the founder of Gusto Snacks. We connected last year. He was supposed to come on Tribes and History, but you know how scheduling conflicts and all of that. He's somebody I admire from afar because there's something he does. He, in quote, makes himself look stupid. He talked about it on LinkedIn. He said, this year, it doesn't matter. I would do what it takes. And he started doing it. You can see his company growing. Some of the marketing things, I'm like, dang, I really applaud you. But you see him doing it. You have to be willing to even do it. You have to be willing. I think you have to be willing to take a step. First, people don't understand that actually starting out is hard. Because you can be saying, I have a friend that's been saying she's going to do YouTube. This was since our freshman year. It's been like, what, roughly 9 years since I was a freshman. She still hasn't started her YouTube. She know if she watches this, she knows I'm talking about her. No shade to her, but still shading her. So the thing is, you have to be willing to do it. Now, I'm talking about entrepreneurship per se. It's not a bed of roses. This is the misconception that people have. And I think social media has perpetuated where you start a business and then in 3 months you're making $20,000 a month. Now, of course, there are outliers where that can happen, but we're talking about an average scenario. I want people to understand that it's not really easy. However, if you are consistent, if you're willing to try things and follow through, I promise you, you will start seeing results. A lot of times people think that I have been in business at least 6 years. I've only been in business for a year and a half. You have to be willing to learn, right? On the outside, it might look glamorous. One of my tenants was like, yeah, I want to be like you. You're always traveling. It looks glamorous, but by the time you start dissecting all the things that I am doing, you realize that it's not that easy. So a couple of takeaways that I want people to take away from entrepreneurship or leadership. The first is you have to be willing to do the work, right? You're not just going to sit down and it will magically happen, right? I see some people, they join accelerator programs and they're thinking the mentors in the accelerator programs will build their business for them. No, you have to take the first step. You have to be willing to do the work. You have to be very, very consistent. It's like going to the gym. You can't just go to the gym 2 months out of a year and you expect to have muscles. No, you have to keep going continuously. So you have to be consistent and you have to be willing to learn. Read books. But for real though, read books. Like actually read. I'm not talking about going on talk or whatever and reading what they read actual books that have been published. Explore. Learn. There are people that know more than you. Don't be too proud. Learn from them. Absorb things. I think this is what I would want people to take away and to also be patient and be kind to yourself. If you're a high achiever, it's very easy to think to yourself, oh my God, I'm not doing anything. Trust me, I have talked to my closest friends. Sometimes I'm just like, I don't think I'm making it. And they should sit me down and should start listing all the things, right? So also be kind to yourself, especially this is the path that you have chosen to follow because it's, is the least taking path. On average, people graduate from school and they go into their 9-to-5 jobs. So you're probably even going to have friends that will tell you you are not going to make it. It's good that you don't listen to those people. Something Alex Hormozy says, and yes, I follow him and Layla. I like them both. They say something in the lines of, don't take advice from someone that hasn't done it. You don't want to take a finance advice from somebody that is not financially where you want to be. You don't want to take leadership advice from someone that is not a leader. Now, this doesn't mean that your friends or your family don't have your best interests at heart. It just means that maybe that particular advice they are giving you just listen, nod your head, and go and do what you want to do. But yes, that is what I have for our listeners today.
I love that. I love everything you said. I want to pick on the reading and learning thing, especially for very smart, high achieving people, women, men, all of the above. There's always this thing that happens all the time. It's like, I can figure this out myself. Why do I have to?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you can, but do you have to and do you want to? There's this thing of pride. I figured it out myself. I remember the very first time I hired a coach, I literally had to hide it from every single person I knew.
Oh.
Because they were saying that, first of all, I didn't even know coaching was a thing. Even when we started having the conversation, it was always like, why would you hire a coach? Why would you hire somebody to tell you what to do? You should be able to figure it out yourself. I mean, it's stupid, it's a waste of money, all of that stuff. And I'm like, I can't have this conversation with these people because I don't need that energy. I've done my own thing and I know that I've gotten to a point where I need someone. And luckily for me, I figured out that coaches were a thing and I'm going to do that. It took me a while before I started having that conversation, but it's always like, why can't you figure this out yourself when hiring a coach? We see all these extraordinary people in sports. Their coaches are not better than them, but they wouldn't be where they are without those coaches. You can't see yourself. I don't care what you do. You go to the mirror, you still can't see yourself. You see the reflection of yourself. So you need that process. You need to be open to learning, open to being mentored, open to being coached. And then also to what you said about the advice thing, there's something that I've heard it several times, but it's always the worst advice to resist, the ones that come from people that care about you and love you.
It's true. Yes.
Because now you're thinking, but they care about me and have my best interest at heart.
Yeah.
But you also have to realize, to your point, if you go to see a doctor, you won't go to see a dentist when you have a cut on your leg.
Mm-hmm.
You will not go to an ophthalmologist when in your ear there's a problem. So the same way, there's the love you, they care about you, but they'll see it the same way, but they really cannot advise you or tell you what's going to work for you in this particular situation because they haven't lived it, they don't understand it. So they're speaking in place of fear. It's like, I want to protect you from everything that could possibly go wrong. The culture that we've grown up in, human beings always want to protect themselves in a fight or flight or all those things. You want to protect yourself from their no, so that's where you start from. But that keeps you stuck.
Yeah.
That's why I talk about build a community, build a line. I'm part of several communities. Why? Because I have different needs and I evolve. From what I wanted from the beginning of this year to what I want now, they're very different.
Yeah.
I still keep some communities, but I focus on some at a particular time because it's what I need. One person can't solve all your problems. One community can solve all your problems. But you need to be able to find those communities because sometimes I might step into a community and it may not be everything that I need, but I always take something from there, give them, and I can always come back if I need to. If not, then I can move on completely. But find the people that will help you go through and achieve whatever it is.
Yeah.
I attended this event. It was like an expert session, we're interviewing this lady and she's like, don't want to be around people that will limit you.
Yes.
You're building $100 million company. And you don't want to say it around a lot of people because they're going to look.
No. I think that the person I've said that I've seen it to probably only 3 or 4 people at most, and you are one of them because I know I also have similar vision. I don't say that to just anyone.
She has a big company right now. She has a product in almost 200 countries. I asked her, what do you regret? What would you have done differently? She was like, not dreaming big enough. So she was basically saying, you dream big enough, find people that will help you dream big enough. We start companies because it's trying to solve a need that is close to us. For example, you want to make baby food that is healthy because you just had a child. There's this company, Little Spoon, where they started, they were selling with baby food, but now they've expanded into so many other things. So she's like, you can start from there, but don't find a way to expand to get more people in.
Yeah.
That's the whole growing big thing. I'm really excited that we're having this conversation. If you're not thinking about it, think about it. So please, for somebody that is listening to us right now and being inspired by you, and she knows that she is capable of more, but she's like, where do I start? I don't know what to do. What can you say to her about taking the step, taking the action during the preparation that will build that confidence and help her move forward?
So this is going to sound very cliche, but I think it's true and it works. If you don't know where to start, just start doing something. Maybe there are things you want to do. Maybe you want to establish, let's say you want to do a business and you also want to sell glasses, but at the same time, you want to be a coach. There are all of these things, but a journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. Just start somewhere and say, okay, I will start coaching. How do you do it? You go and research. How can I start coaching? The amazing thing now is that information is at the tip of your finger. Information, it's easily accessible. It's not like 30 years ago, 40 years ago, where, you know, we didn't have the internet. Okay. So just keep research and start something. Don't let, one thing I'm going to say is, don't let analysis paralysis get to you. This is something we see in real estate. It was also something that almost happened to me, and I had to say, no, let me do it because it's so easy to theorize. It's so easy to say, I'm going to start a real estate business, I'm going to do Section 8, I'm going to do door to door, or maybe I'm going to go into commercial. But then as you're starting and you're realizing, you know what? I actually don't like real estate. It happened to a friend of mine, close friend of mine, true story. She actually started, she's like, you know what? Nah, I'm not doing this. I said, okay. So if you're listening to this right now and you're wondering what to do, you're trying to figure it out, just start something. Because the thing is, when you're building a business, it's like a dark staircase, right? When you step on the first step, the light shines, right? You don't see what's coming next until you keep doing. When you start something, I can promise you that clarity would come as a result. So you have to start doing something. Just start. It doesn't matter. Maybe networking as you meet more people and you listen to them talk about their business, you realize, oh, there are even more businesses than I thought I knew about. So the more you start, the more you do something, the more clarity you get.
Okay, so take action, take imperfect action, and
Yeah.
especially for high achieving, smart, ambitious people. I'm a recovering, well, I've recovered. Okay. Well, my friends will say I'm still recovering perfectionist because you always want to do it right.
Yeah.
Um, Forget that. Throw that out of the window. What that would do is you talked about somebody that wanted to start YouTube, 9 years ago. You
She
can never
still
be that
hasn't
perfect
started.
YouTuber.
She still hasn't started. She still hasn't started.
Yes, because you're looking at YouTube and you're seeing this perfect YouTube and you're like, okay, I want to be that good before I can start. No, some of those people, that is a guy I met, he's actually very good at YouTube right now. He started doing YouTube maybe 16 years ago. He's like,
Yes,
what he likes about YouTube is I can actually go back to your old videos and change
I
things.
see.
So he was like, what he had 6 years ago was horrible, but it's fine because it got him to where he is today. And to your
Mhm,
point, action brings clarity. The steps light up. You step on one,
mhm.
it lights up, you see the next one. Another way I like to say it is you never know what's behind the door until you open it and see what your next step is. So,
Oh,
Mercy, thank you so much for
gee.
being here, for sharing, for having all this wisdom and being generous with it. I'm hoping that everybody listening got so much from this. And I want to ask you, so what are you working on right now? And how can people find you and either connect with you or collaborate with you?
So right now I am in Founders Institute. I applied and got in. I am building out massive brands. There is the part where we teach these women digital skills, and then when they are very good, we help them and pair them. Well, those that are, of course, good and did their work and all of that. So we're really building that out. Founders Institute has helped me with not just having what I'm building in my head. Right now, we have gotten an LMS, which I don't think we would have if I didn't do it. It's just forcing me to take action as opposed to saying, I want to. That's what I'm working on right now. We're also expanding Bell Sisters. We are having more women join the community. As I did in the beginning, it's a community for female founders of color. You meet amazing women in there who are ready to help you and whatever questions you have, they are ready to answer and help with whatever they can. Those are the two main things I'm working on right now. There's something in the works for tribes and history, but I can't really say it right now. Maybe in a future podcast. So if you want to find me, the two main places I'm in is Instagram and LinkedIn. There's the two main places you see me. So if you search on LinkedIn, Masichi Chukwuemeka, Chine is my middle name. So if you search Masichi Chukwuemeka, you would see me on LinkedIn. And if you search Masichi, you would see me on Instagram. If you search Massive Brands, you would also see us, though you wouldn't reach me directly. But the ones I just gave earlier, those are where you can get me directly. If you research Bell Sisters, you also find us. That wouldn't be me directly, but that's how you can find me.
So thank you for saying that. And it's funny you brought up Chimamanda Ngozi because we all grew up in UNN and I knew her as Ngozi. So
Yes,
I keep saying Ngozi, everybody says Chimamanda. So I
yes,
right now I had to do the switch,
yeah,
But your name is your name, and it doesn't matter. You
yeah,
answer to whichever one.
it's everyone.
So
I
thank you
love
so much.
her. She was
Yeah.
talking about how people, because I've watched all of her interviews. I'm not even joking. I'm not a fangirl for celebrity gossip or things. I don't care about it. But Chimamanda is the only one that whatever if there's any news about her, trust me, I have seen it. And what you said you all grew up in UN, and she also talked about it how Ngozi is what people that grew up with her know her as. So and then Chimamanda came because she was answering Amanda and she liked the way it sounded when she got to the US. They'll call her Amanda. And she's like, what is that? And then she was kind of trying to figure it out because I think that was when her first book was getting published, and this is how she'll be presented to the world, right? So she added chi in front of it. And the amazing thing is, he also has an Igbo meaning.
Mhm.
So I guess it all worked out for her.
I also have nieces who were
Yeah,
named Chimamanda, and that's after her.
Chimamanda after
And
her, yeah.
after her, and another name that happened is Jidenna. Remember Jidenna?
Yeah.
After he came out, I have nephews that are Jidenna, and that's from him. All these are really incredible because we have people like us that we're proud to name our kids after, and they have that tradition
Mhm.
going forward for them. So
Yeah.
everyone listening, make sure you tag Masichi and me and share what you've learned from this episode. What was most helpful to you, and let us know what you appreciated. Go ahead and follow Marcy on LinkedIn and Instagram, like she said. We're going to put all that information in the show notes. And if you haven't already, follow me as well, Adaeze Iloeje-Udeogalanya. Please tell us what you learned and ask us whatever questions you have because we want to be able to make this interactive beyond this podcast. So thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much, Marcy, for being here.
Thank you, Ada. Thank you for having me.
And thank you all for listening. Make sure you follow and you don't miss any of the episodes when they drop. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.